The night before the wedding, I accidentally saw something on Peter's phone. He had shared a video in a group chat, showing me using crutches. Guys, who gets it? Every time I see her hobbling around, I feel like puking. If I'd known I'd have to spend a lifetime with someone I don't love, I'd have rather been the one who lost a leg in that accident. I really want to run away from this wedding. The next moment, I was back to the car accident. Just as Peter wished, I didn't save him this time. Now, he was the one with a broken leg and blind. Peter's phone buzzed wildly while he was in the shower. The moment I picked up his phone, I unintentionally saw a message on the screen. Just come out for some drinks, get smashed, and the wedding won't happen naturally tomorrow. Or just disappear. Come back in a month. Peter's parents won't blame you. You've already taken care of Jean for 3 years. You can't waste your whole life on her. Just compensate her family with some money. Pretend you have amnesia if you need to. I stood there in shock, my hands trembling. I couldn't believe it. The man I had loved for 10 years was planning to run away, while I was anxious and excited about our wedding. Every page of chat history I swiped through, my heart sank deeper. Guys, who gets it? Every time I see her hobbling around, I feel like puking. If I'd known I'd have to spend a lifetime with someone I don't love, I'd have rather been the one who lost a leg in that accident. If it wasn't for the value in Jean's family business, I wouldn't have put up for this long. Every word reeked of disdain. He even shared the video of me using crutches in the childhood friends group chat. In the video, my left leg was completely amputated below the knee. 3 years ago, during the accident, I had thrown myself in front of Peter without hesitation, taking most of the damage, and losing my left leg in the process. I was a dancer, but lost my leg. I fell into despair, utterly devastated. But I still remember Peter's concerned eyes back then. He gently held me and patiently practiced with me repeatedly. He promised me, word by word, Jean, don't give up. I'll always be with you. If you can't walk for the rest of your life, I'll be your legs. But the chat records slapped me in the face hard. The video he took to encourage me turned into their mockery. My struggle to walk seemed ridiculous to him. As I was sobbing uncontrollably, Peter walked in. Jean, what's wrong? Seeing my tear-streaked face, he got visibly anxious. He gently kissed my forehead. Are you too nervous about the wedding tomorrow? Does my Jean have a case of premarital jitters? I turned my head away, biting my lip hard. Seeing me avoiding him, Peter instinctively tried to embrace me. But when he saw the phone screen, his face instantly turned pale. He snatched the phone away, panic in his eyes. I tried to control my emotions, but my whole body kept shaking. Faced with my questioning, Peter couldn't say a word. After a while, he stopped pretending, revealing his true self. Dropping the pretense, he roared at me. What do you know? Do you have any idea how I lived these past 3 years? Every time we hang out, while others bring their pretty girlfriends, I'm always alone. How many people murmur behind my back, saying my girlfriend's a cripple? I also want to feel the joy of a normal person. Every word Peter spoke cut like a blade, ruthlessly slicing through my heart. The compassion and irony in his eyes made it clear. These 3 years of tenderness were merely a facade, charity at best. If I could, I'd wish you never saved me. My fingernails dug into my palms. At that moment, I didn't know where the pain was coming from. A burning feeling of suffocation swept over my mind. My ears buzzed, my mind went blank, and everything around me fell silent. The next second, the scene changed. It was no longer the apartment where Peter and I had lived for 3 years. Instead, I was in the back seat of a car. It was the day Peter and I went to the university to get our diplomas. A loud bang. A car turning left collided with a speeding tanker. Our car was rear-ended, and I was slammed into the back. But this time, as Peter wished, I didn't throw myself toward him recklessly. The last thing I saw before passing out was Peter trapped in his seat. I had a long dream. In the dream, I wore a prosthetic leg. Dressed in a white wedding gown, I slowly walked up to the wedding stage. My heart was filled with joy, waiting for my prince. But in the next moment, the screen that should have shown moments of Peter and me in love changed. Instead, it showed me in despair, crying my heart out. People pointed and gossiped. My groom took another girl's hand. He smiled and said, Jean, forgive me, but I can't spend my life with someone I don't love. I can give you lots of money, but I can't continue to take care of you. I've always only loved Rosie. I was left at the wedding scene, with everyone looking at me with pity. I felt like a clown abandoned by the world. I had never hated anyone more than at that moment, engulfed by overwhelming hatred. I staggered like a madwoman. The scene changed. I stood on the hotel rooftop. The white dress fluttered in the wind. I spread my arms like a butterfly. All I could hear was my mom's anguished cries. I woke up in the hospital, and Peter was already in the ER. For a moment, I was stunned, unbelieving that I had actually come back. I thought it was just a dream, but I pinched the flesh on my left leg, feeling the real pain. Overjoyed, tears burst from my eyes. Mom held me, her tears soaking my clothes. "Jean, you almost scared me to death." I could tell that my mom's voice was trembling slightly, a sign of relief after the danger had passed. It's a pity about Peter, though. I remembered waking up in another life, the way my mom held back her tears, struggling to speak, and the chaotic and painful crying at the wedding. Everything felt like it happened in another world. It's so great that I get another chance. I endured the pain, limping over to the emergency room door, where I heard the overwhelming cries of Peter's family. "No amputation. How can you amputate? Peter is so proud. How could he accept this?" It was Peter's mother, crying out. But no matter how much Peter's family pleaded, the doctor regretfully shook his head. "It's a comminuted fracture. There are blood clots in his brain. It's very dangerous. If we don't operate, we might miss the best treatment window." In the end, Peter did lose his leg, only his situation was even worse than mine had been. His left leg was amputated from the hip down. The doctor also said that because the blood clots in his brain hadn't been fully removed, Peter had a high chance of going blind. Over the next 2 days, I often visited Peter. The person in the bed was pale and motionless. He didn't look anything like the once confident and arrogant Peter. I silently stayed in the hospital room, insisting on waiting until he woke up, ignoring my own injuries. To others, it was clear I had deep feelings for Peter. Even his mother advised me to go home and rest. I stubbornly shook my head, forcing out a few tears. "I'm fine. I want to see Peter wake up. I'm afraid he'll be very sad." Actually, I just wanted to see Peter wake up with my own eyes. Then I wanted to tell him to his face, "You look disgusting being disabled." The once adored Peter. How would he react knowing he not only lost a leg, but also might lose his sight? On the 5th day, Peter finally woke up. When I walked in, I saw a mess on the floor, a clear result of Peter's actions. An orderly was cleaning up the fragments. Peter's mother looked worried, her eyes red from recent crying. Peter, though weak, still had the strength to be angry. It seemed his spirit hadn't completely broken, and I had underestimated him. Peter lay on the bed, staring blankly, like a lifeless doll. As the doctor had said, the pressure from the blood clots in his brain had rendered him temporarily blind. Peter's mother pointed to his leg and then shook her head at me. I suddenly realized Peter didn't know he had lost his leg yet. But I couldn't let him remain ignorant. I pretended not to see her gesture. I walked quickly to Peter's side, holding his hand tightly, crying my heart out. "Peter, you need to be strong. We can get a prosthetic leg and still ride horses and race cars." I expected Peter to break down, but I didn't expect him to go mad. He suddenly gripped my hand tightly, his voice strained. "What did you say? Say that again." I was startled and couldn't break free. Enduring the pain in my hand, I continued to comfort him. "Peter, if you want to cry, just let it out. I'll always be with you." Peter went berserk, yanking out his fore and struggling to feel his leg. But he felt nothing. He froze for a moment, then began to tremble all over. He started pounding his right leg, veins bulging in his hands. His mother rushed to pull him back, but Peter pushed her away. Only his hoarse, tormented screams remained in the room. "Get out. All of you, get out." After a long while, Peter seemed to tire. He let go, his expression filled with sorrow. His voice was low, like a trapped beast's whimper. I stood aside, mocking, tears streaming down my face. But I wasn't crying for Peter. I just saw my past self. In my previous life, when I first learned of my own amputation, I was equally desperate. I had studied ballet for 18 years. Even my teacher said I was destined to shine on stage. But I lost my leg, and my dream was shattered. I'll never forget those darkest days. I locked myself in my room, refusing to see anyone, hiding in corners where no one was around. Everything seemed to touch a nerve. I couldn't help self-harming and even thought about suicide. It was Peter who broke down my locked door and pulled me out of a pool of blood. He held me tightly, kissing my cheeks gently. "Jean, I'm sorry. I didn't protect you. Blame me if you must, but don't hurt yourself." Peter convinced my parents to let him take me to his apartment, promising to take care of me for life. But it all turned out to be a lie. After our engagement, Peter used my family's resources to rapidly expand his company, Peter Group. In just 3 years, it became one of the top businesses, far surpassing my father's company. He even sabotaged us in a land bid, openly and covertly suppressing my family. I heard my mom hinting at it, but back then, I depended on Peter so much, and didn't realize he was plotting against me. It wasn't until I saw those chat logs that I knew how wrong I had been. Looking at Peter, who was now in deep pain, a thought formed in my mind. Since I was reborn, I would repay Peter for everything he did to me. If he didn't like me, I would stay by his side on purpose. I would make him depend on me, fall in love with me, need me. Then, when he couldn't live without me, I would cast him into hell. So, I knelt down and hugged the sobbing Peter. Amid his mother's shocked gaze, I promised him word for word, "Peter, don't be afraid. I will take care of you for life. Even if you lost a leg, I'll still be with you." Just like that, I took on the responsibility of taking care of Peter. Every day, rain or shine, I would run to his apartment. To people in our circle, it looked like I loved Peter to the extreme. Even Peter thought so. After all, who would commit their future to someone who's disabled? When my mom found out I volunteered to take care of Peter, she nearly locked me up. Her eyes were full of confusion. "Mama knows you like that kid, but what happened to him has nothing to do with you. Why would you throw your life away like this?" I remembered Peter's cold questioning. "Jean, go ask your parents. Ask them how they forced me into this." I had no idea what methods my parents used to make Peter compromise. No matter how unwilling he was, he did his best to put up with me for 3 years. But now, I had no way to find out. Only after I assured my mom that I was clear-headed did she finally relent. Just like it happened back then, after his amputation, Peter turned irritable and angry. Because he couldn't see, he was even more sensitive and paranoid. He would complain about the caretaker's footsteps being too loud, or the chef's food not tasting good. He replaced several caretakers within just a couple of weeks. He had smashed countless items by the bedside. No one could soothe Peter except me, because only I knew about Peter's pride. I knew what he needed, knew his most sensitive spots. When he pursed his lips unintentionally, I would hand him a cup of hot water. When he turned over repeatedly, I'd help him to the bathroom. Peter didn't like the chef's food, but he enjoyed the soups I made. No one knew how many times I had made soup for Peter in the past 3 years. I knew his taste inside out. In less than a month, Peter had driven all the servants and caretakers out of the house. From then on, only I could enter his room. Sometimes Peter would look confused. "Jean, you're so good to me, but Jean, in my current state, I'm not worthy of you. You really don't have to." I knew Peter had begun to depend on me, but I wanted much more than that. I placed my index finger gently against his lips and said softly, "I know, I just feel sorry for you. As long as you get better, I don't care about anything else." Peter didn't say anything more. His eyes had a newfound tenderness. With my considerate care, Peter's temper gradually improved. He smashed things much less often. Peter was clearly becoming more reliant on me, but I knew he hadn't completely fallen for me yet, because deep down, he still had a goddess. As his body recovered, the blood clot in Peter's brain could also be removed. Peter's family brought in top domestic surgeons to operate on him. The surgery was a great success. On the day when the bandages were removed, Peter was visibly excited. He kept looking towards the door. I knew who he was waiting for. After countless glances, a white figure finally appeared. Rosie was a well-known talent in the dance department at a university, and also my roommate. Many called us the twin daisies of the dance department, graceful and skilled in dance. In our sophomore year, Peter practically fell for Rosie at first sight. Since then, whenever Peter came to see me, it was mostly for Rosie. I've loved Peter for 10 years, so saying I wasn't upset would be a lie. Peter never rejected me, but he wouldn't give me a direct response either. I knew I had lost profoundly. I had quietly stepped back long ago, but they never seemed to get together. I didn't feel any jealousy toward Rosie initially, until the conversation I found on Peter's phone just before the wedding. "Peter, I've missed you a lot these 3 years. I've missed you too. I'm so regretful. When you liked me, I didn't accept you. Only now do I realize you're the one I truly love. Peter, if I come back and try to stop the wedding, would you come with me?" I would. Each day since my rebirth, thinking of those words made me nauseated. I wanted to see if Rosie, who could stop a wedding in front of everyone, would still love Peter. So, when Rosie was tearfully feeling sorry for Peter, I brought over the tools to change his bandages. "Peter, it's time for a bandage change." The ambiguous atmosphere instantly halted. The air seemed to freeze for a moment. I paused and stood there awkwardly. Did I come at a bad time? But the doctor said the bandage should be changed at this time every day. "It's fine, Jean, let me do it. I can take care of Peter," Rosie said, taking the tools from my hands to change Peter's bandages. Faced with Rosie's offer, I was more than happy to let her. I was afraid she wouldn't see this scene. As Rosie carefully unwrapped the bandage on Peter's leg, she was visibly startled. Peter's left leg had been amputated from the thigh. The amputation site was still healing, with raised and gruesome scars. The scars spread like a raging beast on his skin, making one's hair stand on end. With a crash, the medicine bottle slipped from Rose's hand and shattered on the floor. She visibly took half a step back. Her face showed shock and fear. The atmosphere froze again, and the room was so silent you could hear everyone's breath. "Peter, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." Rose's voice trembled. Peter's eyes were filled with hurt and disappointment. "I'll leave you two to talk. I'm going out." Not wanting to get involved in their mess, I tactfully left the room. I heard Peter's hoarse questioning. Are you that scared of me? Am I that terrifying? Peter, I really didn't mean to. Rose's voice was shaky, on the verge of tears. Soon, the sound of things being thrown came from inside. I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Peter was indeed furious again, but all he seemed to do was break things as an outlet. Then came Peter's roar. Get out. Go as far as you can, and never come back. Don't ever show up in front of me again. Rosie ran out of the room crying. She glared at me fiercely as she ran past, not even looking back. The flowers Rosie brought were thrown out by Peter. They almost hit my face. I lightly curled my lips. So, this is what true love looks like in the face of disability. Because of Rose's provocation, Peter's barely stable emotions started to collapse again. He became exceedingly angry again. He kept smashing things, even cursing. When Peter smashed his phone one more time, I finally noticed impatience creeping over his mom's face. After all, Peter wasn't her only son. Since Peter got disabled, his dad only visited him once. I could tell he had already given up on Peter. Lately, Peter's mom was also terribly busy, not only dealing with the outside women and illegitimate children, but also managing the company. On top of that, dealing with Peter's unpredictable temper. Probably, anyone would lose patience sooner or later. Peter's mom no longer came to see him every day, only every few days. Peter probably noticed the change in his mom, having more frequent temper tantrums. Whenever Peter was angry, I stood quietly behind the door watching, because he wouldn't let outsiders near, and the servants didn't dare come over. When he shouted for water, I pretended not to hear. After calling several times, furiously, I would then appear skillfully. I'd tightly hold his hand and gently comfort him. Peter, I'm sorry. I was making soup and didn't hear you call me. I'll come quickly next time. Don't be angry. It's bad for your health. When Peter was furious, he glared at me too. I could only stubbornly turn away and wipe my tears, feeling wronged. If you hate me that much, I can leave. Peter finally showed a panicked expression, holding my hand tight, humble and vulnerable. Jean, don't go. You're all I have left. Time passed, and slowly, I knew Peter couldn't live without me anymore. Peter's health was gradually recovering, and I successfully got into the A City Ballet troupe. After 3 years, I was back on the familiar stage again. I was almost moved to tears. To the cheerful music, I stretched my back, shoulders, and fluttered like a butterfly. As I raised my arms, I felt like I could touch the starry sky. With every jump and spin, I felt an endless flow of strength filling my heart. Because of my excellent performance, the troupe lead especially recommended me for the ballet competition. To practice more, I started going less to Peter's apartment. The housekeeper called me several times. When I finally managed to go, the housekeeper sighed in relief. Jean, good you're here. The young master lost his temper again. We couldn't calm him down. As soon as I entered, I saw Peter's expressionless face. He opened his mouth as if to interrogate. What have you been busy with lately? Why haven't you come to see me? I secretly raised my eyebrow. The proud Peter was like this too after all. I smiled at Peter, joyful. Before graduation, I applied to the A City Ballet troupe and got in. The troupe leader even chose me to represent the troupe for a competition. I deliberately ignored Peter's increasingly darkening face and kept talking happily. Jean, enough. I covered my mouth, pretending to accidentally spill the beans. Then I glanced at Peter's empty left leg. I bowed my head apologetically. Peter, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I paused a bit, then continued. I was just too happy. I've been practicing dance lately and neglected you. After the competition, I will. Before I could finish, Peter punched the table. You're just taunting me with my useless leg, aren't you? He sneered, self-mockingly muttering. Even you think I'm useless now. Scared, I took a half step back, panicked. I wanted to hug him, but didn't dare. I didn't mean it, Peter. If you don't like me, I'll leave now. I wiped the tears from the corner of my eyes and turned to leave. From behind came the sound of something heavy falling. Peter had tried to grab me in a hurry and fallen off the bed. Seeing Peter in such a sorry state reminded me of what he once mocked me for. Jean's limping looks like a clown. How can I hold back from laughing out loud? Ha ha ha. He used to take my pain as a joke to tell others. Maybe it's karma. Now Peter looks like the clown. If I could, I'd want to capture this moment to show Peter his clownish self. Since that day, Peter became increasingly clingy. As if afraid I'd leave, he called me countless times each day. Busy practicing, I often ignored him. He'd send long messages. Jean, will you come see me today? Jean, I want your rib soup. The maid's cooking isn't as good as yours. I didn't reply, just put my phone on silent. The troupe mates teased, fighting with your boyfriend. Smiling, I shook my head. Not a boyfriend, just a needy and clingy person. I suddenly realized, this playing hard to get really worked on Peter. With his goddess avoiding him, his parents abandoning him, Peter had become a burden nobody wanted. I clearly became Peter's most important emotional support. Looking at how he depended heavily on me, I knew my plan had succeeded. Whenever I mentioned leaving, he would desperately beg me to stay. Men, they always want what they can't have. I found it really satisfying to torment Peter every few days. Peter's birthday was coming up. Ever since his accident, he was afraid to meet people. He hadn't even contacted his childhood friends. A week in advance, I reached out to his old buddies to plan a big surprise for him. On the morning of his birthday, his friends showed up early. They brought him a huge bouquet of flowers. His closest friend even got him a limited edition sports car. They wanted to surprise Peter. When they walked in, Peter was practicing walking with a cane. "Peter, look what we got you. The latest sports car." As our eyes met, I could see the shock in everyone's eyes. Looks like the outside world still didn't know about Peter's condition. They stammered, "Peter, you," while Peter's face turned dark with embarrassment. Who could have imagined that someone like Peter would end up like this? Because of that car accident, Peter could no longer stand the sight of cars. When his old racing buddies came, it was like rubbing salt into his wounds. His fists clenched, veins bulging. When he saw the car keys in his friend's hand, he practically roared, "Who told you to come? Who told you to come? Get the hell out." And just like that, a perfectly good birthday party was ruined. I escorted his friends out the door. Apologizing, I said, "Don't worry about it. Peter is just not ready for this." They expressed their understanding and left with regretful looks. Back in the room, I met Peter's gloomy gaze. Through gritted teeth, he asked, "Jean, did you do this on purpose? Did you invite them to laugh at me?" I looked down at him from above, my face neutral. His expression shifted to profound sorrow. Almost pleading, he looked at me. "Why did you do this? I was ready to spend a lifetime with you. I loved you so much." I couldn't help but laugh. In our past life, when I needed his love the most, he found me disgusting. Every time we were intimate, he would vent in his chat group. "Gross. I don't even want to touch her. When will it ever end?" But now that is the one with a broken leg. He's talking about spending his life with me, saying he loves me. What a joke. I don't need such cheap love. Now, it's my turn to find him disgusting. So, I recited the lines I had prepared. "Guys, who gets it? Every time I see her limping, I feel like vomiting. If I'd known I'd spend my life with someone I don't love, I'd rather have lost my leg. Really want to escape the marriage." Watching Peter's increasingly confused face, I leaned in closer with a smile. "How does it feel to be humiliated? In our past life, that's exactly how you treated me. A cripple like you, why would I ever love you?" Peter seemed to recall something, gripping his head tightly. Due to the intense pain, he fell to the floor again, writhed in agony, covered in cold sweat. I watched it all with cold detachment, feeling an immense sense of satisfaction. No one knew that ever since I came back to life, I've had countless nightmares. In those dreams, Peter appeared to love me dearly, but secretly pushed me into the abyss. I would wake up in terror, my heart pounding, afraid that my rebirth was just a dream, that I'd wake up again, as the abandoned bride at the wedding. My gaze fixed on his broken leg, I mocked, "Peter, you look so disgusting with one leg." Finally, Peter on the ground broke completely. He stared at me with bloodshot eyes, a low growl rising from his throat. He looked utterly pitiful. I didn't care anymore, opening the door and leaving him behind. As I left, I heard his desperate pleas, "Jean, don't go, please." Peter and I were completely broken. I no longer needed to go to his apartment. I focused entirely on preparing for the ballet competition. A few days later, the entire circle heard about Peter's downfall. But Peter's mom called a few times, each time begging me to visit Peter. I refused repeatedly, but Peter's mom wouldn't give up. "Jean, please come see Peter. He won't listen to us. Only you can comfort him. Just for the sake of how well I treated you all these years, come to the hospital." After hanging up, I couldn't help but laugh. After everything I've done to Peter, he still wanted me to see him. Wasn't he afraid I'd hurt him with more words? To focus on my preparation, I chose to ignore it. Practicing day and night, no one knew how much effort I put in. Only I knew the weight of my dream. This stage, I've longed for it for 3 years. Every move I made was elegant, each turn and jump making the audience tear up. Finally getting the chance to be on stage again, I wouldn't let it slip away. On the competition day, I won with an absolute advantage. The applause was thunderous, buzzing in my ears. Tears filled my eyes, round and round they went. At that moment, I forgot about hatred, I forgot about pain. I was just the brightest swan on the stage. It felt like a weight had been lifted from my heart. After the competition, I received a call from Peter. His voice was gentle, with a hint of a smile. "Jean, congrats." "Thank you." In a daze, I heard Peter take a deep breath. "Jean, I've remembered everything from before. It's my fault. I played with your feelings. You have every right to hate me. but I never wanted you to die. I turned to look at the flashing neon lights without saying a word. Jean, aside from hate, do you have a bit? No, I cut Peter off firmly. Some things are doomed to be irreparable from the start. There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. After a while, I finally heard him say, okay, I understand. The next time I saw Peter was in a hospital hallway. Peter, in a wheelchair, looked pale and exhausted. The once energetic boy seemed to have aged into a frail old man. The nurse taking care of him said Peter refused treatment, and the car accident wounds had flared up again. Peter had become useless. In just half a year, the illegitimate son of Peter's family was openly brought back, and naturally took over the family business. Peter's mom fell ill from anger, creating chaos within the family. Yet Peter seemed uninterested in fighting for anything. He spent his days in his apartment, staring blankly at the begonias in the yard. When our eyes met, Peter visibly froze. There was an unmistakable hope in his eyes. Jean, did you come for me? After asking, Peter gave a self-mocking laugh. How could it be? You hate me so much. He looked at me cautiously. Jean, if there's a next life, would you forgive me? I gave him a calm smile. Peter, it's all in the past. I don't hate you anymore, but I don't want to forgive you either. As soon as I finished speaking, the glimmer in Peter's eyes finally vanished and was replaced with sadness. Although I no longer hate him, I can't forget the anger I felt when I learned the truth. I can stop hating, but I won't forgive. The last time I heard about Peter was news of his death. Peter had committed suicide at 3 a.m. in his private apartment at Begonia Bay. He died from slashing his wrists, surrounded by bright, fresh begonias. Begonias were my favorite flowers. In our previous life, Peter planted an entire yard of begonias to make me happy. Maybe he genuinely liked me back then. The wind lightly brushed past the window, stirring my thoughts. I seemed to see again the boy I once really liked. When I won a competition, he would bring me a bouquet of flowers. We'd spend the whole night celebrating with food, drinks, and fun. When I did poorly on an exam and got scolded, he would drag me to the library for extra studying. When he was too frustrated to speak because of me, he'd helplessly and dotingly tap my forehead. I would squeeze through the crowded hallways, foolishly hugging his backpack, watching him play a game. And then, with the setting sun's afterglow, we'd ride our bikes home together. Back then, I thought we'd always be like that for the rest of our lives. I knew nothing of the harsh reality waiting to break us. Much later, I learned the language of begonias. Bitter yearning, hopeless love. Just like me and Peter. When I loved him, he didn't care. By the time he turned around, I no longer wanted to.